How do you love? How do you love? Well, loving, we all live in this big relatable field of relationship to everything. People, places, trees, everything we come across, everything we hear about, we're in a relatable field. Like, how do we relate to everything? And how do we relate to it directly? You come into it. How do you relate there? And the relatable field is if you're relating, not through ego lens, not through me and mine and them and other, but truly through a relatable field, it unifies you. And it unifies you and it reveals the unifying reality of love. And love doesn't have labels. It doesn't have ownership. It doesn't have the other in it. So someone who lives truly in a unifying field of love can go anywhere and love everyone and anything at any time and always serve that love because they're living as that unifying field of love. Where egos go everywhere and they measure everything up, and they measure it up according to status and pleasure, which causes a great deal of distortion of love. It's not the real love, it's the faked love. And that's why a lot of people don't really know how other people feel anymore. They can't see what other people feel. When they're talking to them, when they're looking at them, when they're sharing something or doing a task, they can't see how other people feel, how they affect other people. Are they really in the relatable field of unifying love, or are they on an ego trip? And a lot of people nowadays can't see what other people are feeling. They can't look at someone and see like, oh, they're not really happy with what I'm saying, or they're bored with it. They don't like it. I'm just talking about myself, just praising myself. I want to look good to other people, and I'm telling them, here's the good news about me, instead of what they actually really experience about me. I don't want to know that. I don't want to see that. I want to see them just listening to me and getting along with what and believing what I'm saying. So nowadays, the instant, everything, there's also the relatable field is really corrupted through the ego lens of me and mine, special, everybody's the other, let me tell you who I am, why I'm better. All language, if you hear someone talking, even though they're suffering and they will complain about life, they will also keep giving you the message of how great they are. They will keep going over that, sing praises of themselves, put them in a position. And they never notice how other people receive that. So when someone complains, and you're complaining to someone about life or something that happened to you or, whatever, they don't notice how people are receiving that. If they feel a sharing in suffering, or you're just throwing your suffering on them, they don't notice what people are feeling. There's a way to share suffering that's really in the relatable field of love. And there's an ego way of doing it where people just blab on about whatever they're mad about. And people don't notice, how is someone receiving this? How do they feel? Do they look uncomfortable and bored or mad or tired or want to run out of the room? Almost nobody can read anybody anymore emotionally and pay attention to that and enter into that as real information in their relatable field. So people just go on and sputter their ideas and say, these ideas are mine, what you're relating to. And nobody is relating to your ideas of what you say you are, who you are. They're actually relating to how they're experiencing you right now. And because you are not caring and have any self-awareness of what they are feeling right now, they don't believe anything you're saying ever. And everybody has gone through life not believing the next person, the next person, and the next person. Because of when you enter to the relatable field with others, you're doing it through the ego me. Instead of you doing it through the unifying attention and regard of every living thing that you encounter. See? So if you're walking down the road and you just gaze at a tree and you feel that unifying field of love, that you and the tree are the same, that love, that reality, it's kind of a little vibe going on, feeling groovy, with that tree. And you begin to notice that you love that tree. And you walk by it all the time, and you always feel, I love that tree. How many people walk by a tree and say, I love that tree, and I know that tree loves me?
Nobody.
Nobody except me.
Yeah.
And actually, sometimes they will find a way to speak to you in a way that they're saying, like, listen, you want to hear my story?
Oh.
But what do you have to do first? You have to say, a tree is a very wonderful living being, living in the field of unifying love like I am.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give everything that recognition. So if you're walking around giving everything that recognition, what would it be like? Everything's going to be talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
What will that be like? You have to really listen a lot. You can't be going around saying, here who I am. I'm up at the hierarchy of living creatures, so I'm going to burn you later, so I'm going to make some paper out of you. Quit talking to me. Shut up. Yeah. So in this time of instant pleasure, very few people know how to enter into the relatable field of unifying love, where they see someone, hey, and they don't know them, they feel them, and they go, love that guy. Walk away, never see that guy again. And that's what the unifying field of love is like, where you're loving love, and everything appears in love as that love. Rather, everything appears as a separate ego, demanding time, energy, and attention, so you can fulfill their ideas of pleasure and their ideas of how special they are. So being able to do that and live in that, there's a special recognition you have to have. And that is, you have to be in the heart and out of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times over the years when I corrected my devotees and corrected them, they said, oh, just shut up because everything I say is wrong. It's true. Everything you say is wrong, because it's not bringing any relatability to the unifying field of love. It's not noticing love. It's just about me, 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 me. So what is it to enter the relatable, unifying field of love rather than the ego? So you go into this field where everything exists. It's all unified as true being. It's all radiating energy. And you enter it as a separate one who's going to do what to it?
Dominate.
Yeah, dominate. There's no domination in possessiveness in love. There isn't any of that. Whoever's in your life has their own freedom to come and go. And if they want to stick around because they feel that unifying field of love with you, they enjoy that. If there was nobody that ever existed in the world except me, I wouldn't be lonely still. Because everything's arising as a unifying field of love. So I would be as I am. If there's two people, there can be 8 billion people, but they're all playing the game of competition, possession. They want to own you, possess you if you have good things. They want to be above you. So you could be really lonely in that, in the sense of egos don't really love and relate to each other, do they? No. So when people say, well, if I live alone, I'm just lonely, I'm just by myself, it's because you don't really relate to the unifying field of love. So you're cut off from true love, true being as yourself, and as everything that is arising as that. You just see it all as, how can anybody feel lonely and alone in a world that is so full of everything, so full of people? That's because you look at everything and they have to be your object of your desire and your fulfillment. And because no one's coming forward to fulfill your desires and your fulfillment, you feel cut off. As soon as you do a kind action, you smile, you relax, that stress, and the next entertainment, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, I'm just sitting in a room, beautiful pictures, sun setting, everything's okay, everything's wonderful. Time to do dishes. That's how it is. It just, so every once in a while you notice where you really stand, where you're really located, you know everything's as it is. Everything's perfect. And then life requires you to do stuff, and you go do that stuff. But then when you start doing stuff, you want to acquire some power in doing stuff. But everything has what? The only thing that doesn't have a consequence is
Love,
recognizing love. Everything else in life, you're young, the consequences getting old. Right? Everything. You like drinking, that has a consequence. Breathing air has a consequence, because sometimes the air is difficult or polluted, or you're in high altitude, it's hard to breathe. There's a consequence to everything that's pleasurable in life, and a lot of the consequences can be terrible, especially because ego's going around and aggravate everything. Instead of relaxing to the field of love, unifying love, they go around and aggravate everything. So you see everybody as your competition. So everybody's below you, and if you haven't got them to understand that, you're going to work on it really hard all the time. So somehow, being related to others, you never notice what others feel when they're relating to you, when you're relating to them. But the funny thing is, if you're in the unifying field of love, and people see you, and you see them, and you're there in the heart, then they'll want to do, at certain spontaneous times, they'll do almost anything for you. And then you will feel the same way back and do that. But when you do it through ego, it's like you can't get anybody to do anything, and they don't want to, and you're forcing them into it, and then vice versa, You're being forced. Life is pleasure without you trying to make it be pleasurable. Because unless something terrible is happening to you, you have a terrible shooting pain in your chest, or whatever, your friend just died on your doorstep, it's just pleasurable anyways. But you're not noticing it. You only want the ego version of pleasure. And what's the ego version?
Entertaining.
Personal pleasure.
Yeah.
What's personal pleasure?
Money, food, and sex stuff.
It's nothing to do with anyone else or what they feel or care
Yeah,
about.
special
You don't care how it affects them, or you just
And you don't even care how it affects your own body.
Just keep it
So
coming.
is anybody more than 10 pounds overweight? Okay, so you didn't care about your own body, right? Yeah. So you said, the consequences of overeating don't really apply to me as long as I'm getting pleasure now. Well, is that really how experience works?
Not at all.
Not at all, yeah. So why buck how it works? If you follow how it works, your life will be intelligent and satisfying. If you don't follow it, then you go around and saying, oh, don't I look really nice? And people are thinking, well, you're a little overweight now, you're a little fat. Do I have to lie to make you feel good? I will if I have to. It gets very complicated quickly, right? What do you think, dear?
Well, you have a look.
What's that?
Well, you have a look.
You have a look. Isn't that great? Well, you're just supposed to lie, lie if you love me kind of idea, But, how does, if you don't deal with the consequences of your choices, why do you want people to lie to you that you're somehow doing a lot better than you're doing? But that's, in the ego version of love, that's what people who love you is supposed to do for you. But what if you actually use that information and change things? Then you would be knowing how to be relatable in experience, and knowing how to do that, you would actually notice the unifying field of love and experience, and you would go, oh, I could just sit here and enjoy that right now. And you do, and then you get up and say, oh, time to make my bed. You know, whatever the next demand in life is, there's always something. No one can live a life where you're just stuck sitting there enjoying the unifying field of love and nothing else. Nobody has that life. So you can walk it around with you. You can take it up the mountain with you. Be a part of it in the mountain. See, if you're in relationship, if you're noticing, recognizing love, whatever problems there are solvable.
Yeah.
And they move and they change, and then you're feeling really high again and feeling love again. But most people are just isolated into their own lonely little world of how special and better, and you know, and how they're victim of the world or the Obama. Everybody uses that. It's blame for everything. Instead of God now, it's Obama. You know, God used to get the blame for everything. Now it's Obama. But he's on his way out, so you gotta get a new person to blame. You have to not be in your head, but actually look at people when you're in a relationship and say, well, are they trying to get them over on me and I don't like it?
Yeah.
Just stop them. You know, or, you know, am I actually giving them my regard and love, or I'm just trying to dump something on them?
Or just get by until...
Yeah,
Yeah.
like enduring it or something.
Yeah.
You know? Well, you know, you can go out in the public and see strangers and give them a more regard than the people you see every day that you have to relate to.
Yeah, you just gotta use them as the listening tool to your storyline you're trying to build.
Everybody just wants to possess everybody and get them. If you love me, you will pleasurize me. You will give me pleasure. You won't ask anything. Ever, if you love me. That's not how experience works with anything. Everything is required, you know, energy and effort. So everybody wants the kind of love from others, whereas nothing's required from them. And then people resent that, get mad, and leave you.
Yeah.
And you go, well, wow, they're wrong.
Yeah, totally.
It's totally always them.
Yep.
Always, yeah, talking about something you love, always. Like ask them what's fun for them and what they like, and everybody just comes alive when they talk about what they like. Yeah. And then you enjoy hearing what they like. That's
Yeah.
fun too. It's
It's
not like you're just
exciting. You feel
enduring,
it.
because they come alive and they're generating this like excitement. And you go, oh, that's really fun.
Yeah.
And you get actually interested in what they like because
You can feel
they're
the
happy.
energy of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
That's the unifying field. See how it unifies. And when you talk to somebody and they're complaining and you're complaining and you're sharing complaints, and it's just kind of like, feel like this, like, when can I get out of here? And people feel that too. But they don't stop though. They just keep going. All right, there's 3 left. Does anybody want one?
Yes.